Today's episode is sponsored by Dynasty Athletic Performance and NC Football Connections. Welcome to the All Season 365 podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on all platforms to stay updated with the latest episodes, coaching insights, and football conversations. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, and X. Thank you for listening and being a part of our All Season 365 community. Today, we have a special guest. We have Coach Frank Toms III, defensive coordinator at Crest High School. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Coach. How are you doing?
Man, I'm well, man. Thank you for asking. And before we went live, we're just, talking a little bit about the summer workouts. And it's funny how, based off of what we were just talking about, nearly all coaches have the same issues, man. So appreciate you for being flexible and making time to hop on so that we can talk a little bit about what you guys like to do defensively from a planning perspective throughout the week.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Summer workouts is always one of those where you're kind of like, it feels like you got a lot of time in the day, and then the time dwindles very quickly. Practice film, and you're getting out at 11. You got to take care of yourself, and then you want to go hang out with the fam because you don't get to do that as much in the school year, anyways. So it definitely is one of those times where it's like, I can fit this in for sure because I need to. My wife also was like, you need to fit it in. Because she was very encouraging on that point too. So, yeah, it's good to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity, man, for sure.
Yeah, most definitely, Coach. So before we get into today's featured topic, give our listeners a quick snapshot of your career journey to this point.
So I played here at Crest High School, graduated in 2011, went to UNC Chapel Hill just as a student, didn't play any ball or anything. Got there and went through about 2 years doing something that I thought that I was going to do. And then a couple classes I had some trouble with. So then I was like, nah, let's just change this up. So I sent an email to the football team because my wife, she was my girlfriend then, she's now my wife. She was like, you should just go try this coaching thing. Like, she had been saying it since we were in high school. We went to high school together as well. Like, you should be a coach one day. And I was like, emailed them, and they're like, yeah, we need some help up here. Coincidentally, it was a defensive side of the ball where I played, and I knew I was most comfortable. Went in there, long story short, did something for them. They gave me a hat and a T-shirt. I came back the next day, and they were like, what are you doing here? I was like, I'm here to go to work, Coach, So ended up being a student assistant there for my last 2 years in college, junior, senior year. Got in contact. One of the other student assistants was a friend and former player of Coach Adam Sanders at Apex Friendship.
Yes.
And that school was starting the year I graduated. So I graduated in 2015.
That's my buddy right there too, man. We coached together at Holly Springs High School, definitely.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's my guy. Yeah, so he allowed me to go coach there, sight unseen, kind of didn't know who I was. So I was a D-line coach there for 2 years and linebacker coach for about 3, total 5 there. I was a JV head coach for a little bit, JV defense coordinator for a little bit. It's where I kind of learned all of that aspect of it, of the coaching world. And then got my first DC job during COVID at Forest Hills. Coach Jamie Dees let me, he took me once again, sight unseen, didn't really know me, anything like that. He knew that I played for Coach Barnes for 1 year. He played for Barnes at Scotland, so there was that connection. But was a DC there for 4 years, and then 4 years into that, I was like, it's time to go. It's time to go back home and try to go help get that back to what we knew it as back when we were playing and guys after me were playing. It helped that my 7-year-old now gets to see her grandparents all the time as well. But, so now we're back here, been here. This is my 3rd year coming up. Yeah, 3rd year this year coming up at Crest. So been a journey, but, I feel like a lot of things happen quick, but at the same time, I did learn a lot on the way. So.
And, that's the most important piece. And it's funny because, you just mentioned, Coach Saunders, man, like I said, I coached with him at Holly Springs, coached against him when I was at Green Level. He was at Apex Friendship.
Yep.
Still
Okay. Yep.
keep up with them as well. That whole shout out to all my folks over there, Western Wake County. But
Yeah,
it's
man.
it's a small world, man. It's a
That was a
small
good
world.
time. That was
Yeah,
a good
small
time
world.
for me over there for sure.
Small world, man. Well, thank you for hopping on. Well, let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. So the focus of today is connecting your practices to game film. So how does Friday night film shape your weekly defensive prep?
Well, one of the things that we start with, even before we get to that point, is last year especially, and this was the first time I did this, I got the kids together week one. I think it was like the first day of practice. You only got helmets on, and you got a little bit of time to kill because you go out and you do some stuff. I think it rained that day too, so we were like, let's just go ahead and get this out of the way. But we kind of put it on the kids, like, hey, what do you want to do this year? There were goals, there were overarching team goals, and there were defensive goals. And a couple of those goals were so many points per game, obviously, so many turnovers per game or takeaways per game, less missed tackles, things like that. And so that's kind of how we took that and said, well, hey, if this is what you want to do, we have to take these aspects of practice more serious. And so for us, the film turns into, especially those jamborees and those scrimmages, where you've got yard markers and you're moving the football now for the first time for real. You kind of notice, all right, we got to get better at first down, right? And then we've got to get better at, obviously, third down. Second down is one of those that it's not necessarily that we don't want to get better at it, but first down is going to lead to you can be a little more aggressive on second, and then third down, you got to be ready to get off the field. And that was for us how we kind of started it. And then looking at the previous season, the year that we lost in the fourth round, I think. Yeah. That year we looked at it and it was like third down. We're looking at the film and we're breaking it all down. We have 45 third down conversions. No, it was more than that. But they were of more than 10 to 15. They were more than 10 yards. It was like 3rd and 10, 45 of them. They converted 45 of them. 15 of those ended up being like 20 plus. So we're looking at the film and it's like, that's got to be a point of emphasis this year's third down and long, like get off the field. We can't let these big plays up. And so with that Friday night film coupled with our kids coming in and saying in the goal session, hey, we got to be better on third down, coach. And that was them taking ownership of it. Those seniors saying like, we got to be better at this because we were not good at it last year. And that's kind of really where our season and our practices really got shaped, was that initial goal session that we had at the beginning of practice.
Nice point. And I love the fact that, your players were a part of the goal setting process. And for those who don't know, when you allow your students or your student athletes to be a part of that process, you're putting the ownership on them. And it can't be oh, coach, I didn't know. Nah. These are the terms. These are the goals that we agreed to. And
and they had
that process. So that ownership is it accelerates tremendously, So
yeah. So I gave them all notebooks as well at the beginning of it, and they had to write them all.
Write it down.
Like
yes, sir.
when we were all in the weight room and we were sitting there and they were spouting out all the goals that they had. I wrote them on the board and I said, all right, on that front cover, everybody write all these goals down. That way there was no confusion.
No confusion.
It's like, if we go in there every single Monday and we go through game plan, thing like that, it was like the first thing that you see when you open up is all those goals. Are we meeting those goals? It's like, there's no excuse, right? Because there's not going to be I didn't know that we were, no. The leaders were going to say, hey, man, this is one of our goals. This is why we're doing this. This is what we want. Tighten up, because we're tightening up on this aspect. And it helped a lot.
and they can also see it. So when it comes to fixing mistakes, and time is not on your side during the season. I mean, right now in the summertime, you can slow stuff down a little bit,
Oh yeah.
reteach. But when the season starts rolling, it is rolling. So what mistakes are immediate priorities to fix on Monday after looking at a game?
To me, it is the ones that the kids made the goals for, especially
Mhm.
when it comes to tackling
Mm,
and takeaways,
mm,
because we can look back at a tape and you can chart, you know, how many tackles did we miss? Because to me, that's the
mm.
biggest one.
Yeah.
Coordination, like the correlation between how many tackles you missed, how many big plays were had. Because usually, you know as well as I know, if there's a missed tackle, you get one or two missed tackles. That's where all these big plays come from.
Oh, absolutely.
You can have the greatest play designed up, and a guy make a tackle for 5 yards, and it's for us, 5 yards is too much, but
Mm,
it is 5 yards, and they're not getting the first down unless it's third and short.
mm,
So that's one of the bigger things for us. And then just addressing the obvious technique issues,
mm,
fundamental issues more than the scheme issues on Mondays.
mm.
Because usually scheme changes from week to week on
Yeah.
defense. It doesn't change a lot, but it changes enough to where it's
Yeah.
like, well, last week we're doing something a tad bit different this week.
Mhm.
But those fundamentals, like stuff that you do every single day, that is your position's normal thing to do, we're addressing those on Monday as well.
Mm,
Um, because if we don't, now we address fundamentals every day, but we especially harp on them on a Monday, because if those fundamentals aren't there, and those are the times and those are the key aspects of football that in a long season, those kind of wane a little bit, for the simple fact that you got other stuff that you got to get done. There might be new techniques, new fundamentals you're putting in, but those baseline fundamentals we're working on every Monday, because we got to make sure that they don't wane throughout the season,
mm,
along with the fundamentals of tackling and just the mental situational stuff as well.
mm, mm. So since you also mentioned that as well, looking at game film and connecting that to your practice plan, we also know the importance of self scouting. So how do you balance self scouting with opponent prep?
For me, self scouting is more so, are we showing stuff too early?
Mm,
Are we showing stuff? Are we moving too late? Um, Self scouting for me, especially, I look at my play call list, and it's like, am I on every third down? Am I calling the same type of blitz? On every third down, am I calling the same type of coverage? And am I giving the same picture on every first and third down, which is going to cause that problem of, well, good coaches are going to look at that first down,
mhm,
that first time on third down, the second time on third down, that third time on third down, you do the same thing. Hey, that's where those big plays come from. So for me, the self scout is definitely mostly scouting myself. Like, hey, you've got to do a better job of giving a different picture on different third downs, and
mm,
giving a different picture on different first downs, giving a different picture. Giving a different personnel grouping a little more often, right? That's just something that I kind of put on myself. That way, the kids really, and we focus more on the kids just being able to do and execute the movements. And when they can execute the movements, anytime I make a call, and then it's on me to say, hey, you got to make a different call here, make a different call here. That way we can kind of keep everybody on their toes in that regard.
mm. I like it. I like it. I like it. So reinforcement. So back to the film, back to practice. So you mentioned, obviously the most important pieces is making tacklings, making tackles, trying to take the ball away, etc. How do you reinforce? And everyone does a little bit different, one way
Yeah.
or the other. But how do you reinforce Friday's lessons throughout the week? Because obviously, you put you put it all your emphasis on Monday. Okay, we get all that. But what about
Mhm.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? What if the energy start to dip down? How do you reinforce the lessons from Friday throughout the week?
Tuesday every week for us, this so far. And I started this when I was at Forest Hills too, but it was late. I went to the Greensboro Clinic. Shout out to the Greensboro Clinic. And I listened to Devontae Edwards when he was at Elon talk about how they used so many circuits to get what they wanted on a Friday. And I was like, well, they got a little bit more time than I got, so I got to figure out how to condense all that down, right?
Yeah.
So we started doing what we call a finish the play circuit every Tuesday. And finishing the play happens 3 different ways in my mind, especially on defense. You're either tackling them, you got to put them on the ground. You're tackling and you're trying to get the ball out through a fumble of some sort, or you're getting an air takeaway of some sort. So we actually do a circuit of all 3 of those things. All 3 position groups are doing all 3 of those things. And I've done it 2 ways. I've done it where the coaches stay at their station and the kids just rotate. Here we do it like the coaches rotate with the station. That way they all know how to do every drill.
Nice. I like that. Yeah.
But there's a tackle, like the tackling one is, I mean, it's basic. I'm talking like one day it'll be leverage, next week it might be just that near foot, near shoulder, things like that, because I think that part of it, just reiterating the smallest details of tackling,
I like it,
is what makes us better tacklers. If you're not always trying to have a big hit all the time, and we work drap and drive, right? We work that stuff weekly. That way we make sure they understand like this stuff is important. Same with when you're doing I call it a ground takeaway. There's multiple ways we do that. We'll go front side punch where you find the ball, you wrap up with one arm, you punch with the other one. We'll go vice tackle punch. We'll go peanut punch from the backside. And then we go city fumble versus country fumble. Like, you're in the city fumble, fall on it. Because we had a little bit of problem with that last year. And then if it's out wide open, hey, pick it up.
I like that.
And they know, and they know. Like you see it on film. There was a couple times where we had a strip sack and it was a country fumble for as the day is long, but he missed it the first time, and they know, hey, you missed the first one, your hind ain't got to fall on it now because you missed your opportunity, because we're not going to let it kick it. We're not going to kick it a second time and go out of bounds, or they end up coming back to get the ball. Like no, you missed it the first time, fall on it.
Exactly.
And then the air takeaway is usually at the discretion of the position coach. But that's usually just breaking on the ball, breaking on the front side hip of a person so you can bat the ball down, maybe high pointing the ball. With the D lineman, that's where we get screen retrace drills. We get into mirror the hand, trying to bat the ball down, things like that. And there's a couple reasons why we do it that way. To me, one, we do it that way because I want the kids to understand that that's a separate drill for a reason. That's a separate 15 minutes of time, 12 to 15 minutes of time, where this is the sole focus. Our sole focus is tackling and takeaways, tackling takeaways. That is the sole focus of that. And so they understand like, oh, coach, this is important, right? Because I think you can practice all these things in Indy,
right?
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But sometimes when you're in Indy, you're obviously focused on the small details of footwork and foot drive, right? You're working on T-steps, or you're working on bicycles, whatever you want to do as a DB. You're working on steps as a linebacker. You're working on get-offs as a D-line and reads and everything like that. And then the tackling part of it sometimes, in my experience, became an afterthought.
Yes.
Which is why I was like, we're going to make this 12 to 15 minutes. And in the periods, gotta kind of finagle with time a little bit, but
for sure.
We're gonna make this period of time because it is important to us as coaches. You said it was important to you guys as players, right? Because in the goal meeting, what did we say? Less missed tackles, more takeaways. You said it was important, so now we're gonna work it like it's important. And then that gives all of my position coaches the ability to say, okay, I don't have to worry about that aspect. I can worry about everything leading up to the end, up to the finishing of the play. Now, obviously, your DB coaches are still throwing balls around. You're still high point and catching. But the other stuff, you even get so we'll do a strip sack in the air takeaway for the D lineman. Like they'll working around the edge and really punching a ball out on the quarterback who's got his hand up. They'll work that in that period, right? And they only work that back half. They work the front half of it in Indy as far as, getting up the field, making sure that you're getting to the quarterback. But the back half of that, we're going to work in FTP because I want my D-line coach to be able to focus on, hey, you got to take these steps. You got to work this move, work these hands, right? That last part, we'll get in FTP. And we'll do that in August. It'll be probably a couple days a week. It ends up going down to 1 day a week. Just Tuesdays in season because Mondays you're coming out, you're getting game plan in. Tuesday, this is the first thing we do. And the kids will tell you last year they told it was probably one of the hardest parts of practice. And it's like the second thing that we do in a practice. They warm up, we're FTP right now. They understood that and they said that was the hardest part, which to me is good because it needs to be. But it gave us the results we were looking for. So it's definitely something that going forward, our young guys saw our old guys do it and saw our takeaways increase. I think they doubled between my first year and this last year. And then they saw a lot less missed tackles, depending on the game, because part of tackling is like 80% of tackling is mental, really. If you don't want to tackle, you're not going to do it, no matter how you know how to do it.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct. So some people be closing their eyes,
Yeah. Hey, if you really don't want to do it, it's not going to happen. So,
it's not going to happen.
But yeah, and then Wednesdays is really our day where Tuesday we'll also hit that situational stuff. Every day in team, every day, Monday through Wednesday, I get the old yard marker out because we got a new one last year, I think. So I get the old yard marker out, put it out on the field, and we'll set the ball, set the yard marker, first down at 10 yards. Like, hey, this is real, and we'll move the ball. And last year we would go second down, third down. I think this year I'm going to go a little bit more first down and then go straight to third so that we understand the emphasis of that. And that way you get, because the reps get a little bit limited, and I want to make sure that third down is the first and third is the focus. So we'll do that. We do that Monday through Wednesday, and then on Wednesday you do get this one got real. This one got funny after a little while last year. So Wednesdays we'd have situational period on defense where I just make up something. Hey, we're down 3 with 4 minutes left in the game. Like, we got to get the ball back. And I don't even call the defense in that time. I have my JV head coach, or our JV head coach, who also calls the defense on JV. I would let him call the defense during that time period. And then our offensive coach will call the offense. And that's a good on good period. And it's just 5 minutes because it usually only takes 5 minutes. But it was just, and you still got the yard marker out, but it was just one of those things where kids need to understand the gravity of a moment. So we could be down 3, we could be up 3, we could be down 6, we could be down 7, we could be down 8. We could be up all those things. And I'm spotting the ball wherever I want to spot it. And we have to understand the moment and get in that mindset. All right, we got to get a stop here. We got to get an interception here. We got to find a way to get an interception in this situation to end the game, possibly. And I think that helped us a lot because there was a lot of times where we could kind of point to the yard marker in a game. Hey, it's third and whatever. Hey, know the sticks, know the situation. And you kind of saw an uptick in the way that they played because that was how we did it in practice as well. So that's always our Wednesday thing. So Monday's just your basic fundamentals from Friday. Tuesdays finish the play. That's the big emphasis. Wednesday is our situationals. And every day in team, just regular team, we're working first and third down, just to make sure that we understand all those things.
Nicely stated. Well, thank you for listening to the Offseason 365 podcast. I'm Coach Simmons here with Coach Thompson III, and we signing off.
Yes, sir.
Today's episode is sponsored by Dynasty Athletic Performance and NC Football Connections.